get Eugene to come to church, and now y'all act like I know what I'm doing. I've been bragging to Eugene how flawless y'all are in the execution of everything. And now he's like, it looks the same. All right. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. It's great to have everyone here in the house of God today. For those of you who are watching live, my name is Peter Edward Matthews, and I'm the lead pastor here of New Vision United Methodist Church in the beautiful, beautiful city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Today you join us for the second installment of the Global Village. The Global Village is our opportunity to talk about God's love in an extended space and place that exists outside of Sunday worship. On last month, we had our very own Congressman Greg Landsman to kick us off with a conversation that was not only fruitful, but it went viral, actually. And this month, we have two of the keenest educational minds, not just in the greater Cincinnati area, but also in this nation. And so today we're very fortunate enough to have our very own Dr. Eugene Blaylock. Let's give him a round of applause. And one of my dearest colleagues and friends as well, Dr. Matt Bolton from Seven Hills. Let's give him a round of applause as well. We're going to jump right into it because we have someone a little bit later I want to introduce you to, Sister Elise Bowen from No Excuses College Tours is going to join us a little bit later on to talk about some of the work that they do and how that all kind of intermingles itself to make us who we are today. Gentlemen, we're going to jump right into it. Just give us a little introduction about yourself and how did you actually kind of get to be where you are in this space and place. Dr. Eugene?
Dr. Eugene Blaylock Jr. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been in Cincinnati since 1989. I still claim Cleveland and the Cleveland Browns. Go Dog Pound. Came down here, went to the University of Cincinnati, got my bachelor's and my master's at the University of Cincinnati, went to Xavier to get my principal and superintendent certificate. And just last year, I completed a doctoral in education from Miami University. I have been in education 30 years. I know I look young.
I was going to say, you've been there since you was 5 years old, man.
I know. I cut the gray out before I came today. But this is my 30th year in education. I currently work as a superintendent at North College Hill City School District. And I'm in my 10th year, entering my 10th year as superintendent. For those of you who do not know, that's probably an anomaly because most superintendents don't last past 3 to 4 years. So I'm continuing to fight the good fight, love what I'm doing, and continue to do it the next few years as strong and faithful as I can.
Yes, sir.
Matt Bolton. Peter, thank you so much for having me. I'm the head of school at the Seven Hills School here in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's my second year in that role, my 12th year at Seven Hills. I was the principal of the high school for a decade. Originally a New Yorker. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I've absolutely loved, thank you, thanks for the shout out. I love Cincinnati. I love this part of the country and the world and this community. And, just really thrilled to be at Peter's alma mater, the Seven Hills School. And we're very happy to be here today.
Here's the thing. I said we're going to jump right into it. We could go on and on about the moral atrocities of the current administration, particularly to the least of these and how it kind of works its way out in legislative form. But one of the things that I wanted to provide you both is not just an introduction to each other, but what I think is the possibilities of life-changing and life-sustaining partnerships, not just for the school systems, but also for the students themselves. And here's why. Both of you are fighters for our students, be it from a variety of different vantage points. Dr. Eugene wouldn't have talked about it, but if you know anything about Cincinnati this week, he was in the news because on the very first day of school, some students and parents kind of got into it. And I was listening to Lincoln Ware, and I said, I know that voice. And I started texting him and sent him a prayer about what was going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And how do you see yourself as a hands-on administrator?
Well, it's been a rough week. It happened the second day of school, as a matter of fact. So we started off the school year. School year was going well. Teachers came last week. This week, the students came. Tuesday was the first day of school. Had a great first day, opening day. Students taking a lot of pictures. And on Tuesday after school, I'm sitting in my office, and I look out the window, and I see a crowd of individuals standing there. It was a number of students, and then I see a car with an adult in it, and I see them pointing up the street and kind of agitated and whatnot, and then I see the students take off running up the street. I see the adult do a U-turn and haul up the street, and so I walk out my office, jump in the car, and I go up there, and I can't get one block because I have a number of students in the middle of the street fighting, and the sad part is we had the parents encouraging the kids to fight. So I'm sitting there in the car, and I'm looking, and I see parents doing this. Let them fight, let them fight, let them fight. And the kids did just that. Two young men went at it viciously. I blew the horn, I drove past, kids recognized me, a few of them start moving away. I'm saying, hey, we don't do that, let's get out of here. A couple of the kids start moving away. The kids that were involved in the melee, they broke it up, and then the parents put them back together, and they got to fighting again. By that time, I turned the corner. I knew we had made some calls to the police. I gathered the kids that I could and started pushing them along. I think you talk about being hands-on. I think in my younger, people that know me from back in Mount Healthy days and the years know I was all hands-on. I didn't mind jumping in the middle of fights. I didn't mind breaking up students or adults. I think now we live in a different time, and I have to realize that I can't always jump in and be physically involved because my life might be in danger because people don't act the same or think the same anymore. So I have to be mindful of that as I continue to be hands-on, but hands-on with a focus now that I need to make it home safe also. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the thing about Dr. Matt, you're a fighter as well. Just last year, there's a National Assembly of African American and persons of color in independent schools that are having a national conference. And in response to that conference that's been going on for decades, it dissolved. But you said Seven Hills had to do something. You want to talk a little bit about that fight?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Peter. I was disappointed. I'd been to the People of Color Conference. I thought it was a powerful organization and a powerful kind of pulling together of diverse educators and people who are trying to make diversity a big part of their classroom experience for the kids. And it was, I think, a great resource for our faculty. So we are going to step into that area. We will be holding our own diversity conference this winter. It's in January. It's called Upward. Thank you. And the idea for me and for us is to be a center and keep something alight that I think was powerful and lasted for a long time, and we can kind of hold that space for however many years. Our idea is to be regional, to be public and private, to invite educators from within Cincinnati, but from also the broader region, and spend some time just kind of being together, having programming, thinking about what we can do to uplift everybody who's doing this important work, and what we can all learn together before we go back to our respective schools.
Just so you know, Dr. Baylor, I've inserted myself as the co-chair of this conference, and here is one of the keynote speakers at that conference. You see what I just did there? That's the preacher, the preacher prerogative. You got one of the keynote speakers at that conference already. Here's the thing that I want to kind of double back on. So in today's sermon, we were talking about the pervasiveness of meanness. There are just a lot of mean people. And we would see in the internet in the ways in which particular, and I can call it what it is, we have white males at a certain economic strata are just being sent mean messages in continuum ad nauseum at a space that it just feels like they have no choice but to run in different paths. You were quite concerned about that, the notion of the maleness and the meanness that's coming out at a very young age, that's being purported on the internet, on the television. You want to talk a little bit about, what do you think about that? How do you?
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that this very narrow, very negative, really kind of toxic vision of masculinity is something that's creeping into boys' experience, young men's experience. And so they're kind of hearing about this from the worst possible sources, and in some cases are being really kind of radicalized by this internet presence. So I think one of the things that we're trying to do at Seven Hills, and that I think is important for schools, and churches, and other organizations to do, is to offer a different vision of what masculinity is, what it means to be a boy, a guy, a man, whatever you want to call it, that is not about putting other people down, but is about lifting other people up. It's about not trying to run away from your feelings, but trying to be in touch with your feelings. And I think some of that programming really has to be named and explicitly say, here's what we're worried about, and here's the program, or the meeting, or the series of resources we're going to put in place. And I think developing friendships among the kids is a really key part of that too. It's a lot harder to be thinking negatively about groups when actually your friend groups and your group of people you love and care about cross a lot of lines. So we're working really hard on that as well.
Dr. Eugene,
Can I chime in on that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So basically, the meanness for me, I think, starts at the top. So we have individuals in the church, individuals in school, and we're trying to teach individuals to do the right thing, not solve problems with their hands, to use their words. At the school, I'm in North College Hill again, and we have something that's called conscious discipline, where we teach self-regulation, emotional intelligence, starting off at a young age to teach the students, when you have an issue and you have a concern, you don't have to just jump to fight. Now, the issue that happened on Tuesday of last week was, in school we're saying one thing. In school we're preaching, we're teaching not to be physical, to go to an adult if you have issues. But yet and still, when the students leave us and they go home, they hear a different message. And that message could be from the parents, the adults around them, the internet. Every time I turn on social media, you got to be careful on what you click on, because if you click on one of those baddies and they're fighting, it'll show up all the time on your timeline. Just keep going. And that's the first thing you see. So when you look at anything that's on television, social media, the kids are drawn to that. And when you have the leader of the United States being the biggest bully out here, it causes all of us issues. So no matter what I say in school to say it's not okay to do and say mean things, they turn on the television and they see leaders doing the same thing, starting at the top of the food chain. So individuals ask me all the time, what are you going to do as a school? What are you going to do? And I told the news last week, and I'll tell you all, schools are tapped out. You got teachers that's working long hours. You have administrators that's working long hours. We're doing the best we can to try to create a safe environment for students, for staff, for families. And then they leave our doors and they walk out into a whole different situation. And it's not just in North College Hill and Cincinnati, it's everywhere. It can happen in Seven Hills. It can happen in Cincinnati Public. It's just the way it is now. And something has to change, and it has to start at home, period.
You've normalized heroism in your everyday acts, but I really appreciate the radical step that you took a few years ago to create space and place for your teachers with the 4-day work week, and you've been very conscious about creating not just safe space for the students, but safe space for educators and leaders like yourself. Can you talk about, despite the heroic things that you've done and how you've normalized that and been celebrated for that, how you created boundaries and self-care as an educator?
So North College Hill is the first school district in the Midwest, first school district in Ohio to go to a 4-day school week. This happened because I work in North College Hill, a very small school district with about 1,400 students. We have the hardest time finding educators, the hardest time. So a lot of times I'll go to job fairs and you have the big schools, the Cincinnati Publics, the Lakotas and whatnot, and individuals come out and they're drawn to them. If you're a small school and you're fighting and scratching for every teacher, every counselor, every psychologist you can find, and that's just the way it is. And like I said, I've been in education over 30 years, and we're losing teachers. The burnout as educators, nobody wants to go in education, and why would you? You work long hours, you get disrespected, you get physically assaulted, and nobody truly understands how much time teachers put in. So about 2 years ago, after COVID, we thought things were going to be good when we came back, and actually things got a lot worse. It got worse. I see people nodding their head. You had individuals who were dealing with things that start coming out, bubbling out, and individuals were leaving education mid-year, which was unheard of. No teacher would leave mid-year. They would finish the year or whatnot. We had educators in my district, 4 individuals that just left and said, "The heck with it. I work at Walmart. I can get your license, take it, because I'm not coming back," and they left. So I was struggling. So I said I just finished my doctorate. I actually was working on my doctorate to figure out, being African-American male, black male, how can I recruit more black males in education, K to 12? I've been in here over 30 years and I can't find them. So that's what I was looking for. Then I found out that I couldn't find a teacher, black, white, male, female. I couldn't find a teacher. So through some reading, struggling reading, I saw an article, could a 4-day school week change or save the profession? And that is where my focus was, and that's what my dissertation was about. My action research was done at North College Hill. I can tell you to this day, North College Hill recruitment is up, teacher attendance is up. Our teacher attendance before the 4-day, we would average about 30-some% absenteeism. Now we're down to about 9%. So individuals are coming to work. They want to be at work. I get calls all across the United States, not just in Ohio, talking about what we're doing. And what we're doing is about the teachers. And if you want schools to be successful, and Doc will tell you this, you have to make sure that the staff and the adults are in a safe place. So my focus is making sure that the staff is safe and mentally and well-being, have mental well-being, work-life balance, and that right there should allow them to do a better job within the classroom. It's going well. This is our 3rd year, and this year we're going to focus on intervention on Mondays. Our kids come to school Tuesday through Friday. Monday is a planning day for the teachers. That's what they use that day for, but we do have our other support staff that will be providing intervention, and that'll be the focus. First 2 years, mental well-being, the teachers, getting them in a good space. Now we're going to push on that intervention piece with our younger kids.
Cool. I was just going to say, I admire the putting theory into practice. That's really a bold decision. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, right? That as I celebrate his heroism that he's normalized in real time every day as an educator, I also celebrate you because I think, and please don't gasp when I say this, the tuition at Seven Hills now in high school is $36,000 a year. And at $36,000, yeah, I said that, $36,000. Yeah, that's college. And so the notion of that kind of tuition also comes against a certain kind of person who believes they know everything. And yet, what you've done is institute and really radicalize what we call the challenge concept of Seven Hills and slowly begin to usher in an ethical form of education and leadership where young people are getting involved in real time. And you've got a lot of pushback from that. Can you talk about the beginnings of wanting kids to be not just successful, but also ethical and moral people?
Yeah, I think the days of school being about just reading and writing and arithmetic are really long behind us, and that in every school and every area of the country, I think parents and teachers alike see that there's so much more than just academics to becoming a really sort of realized, reflective adult who's living a life that matters for them, that's full of meaning. And so I think helping young people to understand what is important to them, to expose them to a lot, but then to give them a lot of choices in terms of what they study, how they develop, what they take on as challenges, is I think the way to go. And what we found is that, in many cases, I think our school and other schools are serving as really kind of a primary community for a lot of our families. It's really the home base. We have a lot of families who are, there's maybe work and other things, but school becomes a big part of their life. And so we have to do more than just say we're delivering a great academic program or preparing students for college. We have to also be a community that really has a place for everybody who sees themselves as part of it. And we have to commit to more than kids' minds, more than just their ability to do well in school. We really need to engage the heart and make sure that we're connecting with them as people and connecting with them as fully rounded people who are going to go out into the world and do more than just do well in school and get great jobs.
I'm here as a matchmaker and not just a moderator. So you all know I said privately, I'm going to say publicly, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. We're going to commit $10,000 to North College Hill because we believe that there is something wonderful happening, particularly on Mondays, that he's going to talk a little bit about. So I'm going to ask my Seven Hills people to help me with that. We'll talk about that in a minute. You see what I just?
Yeah, I like it.
You see what I just did? Preacher prerogative. Preacher prerogative. And I got some alumni here that's got some money too. I got some alumni here that's got some money. Don't just be high-fiving each other and not give money. Dr. Eugene needs money. Okay, you got some money too. Look, I'd already raised half of the $10,000 already. Now, Dr. Bauer started sitting back. He was leaning forward. No, but seriously, we want to talk in real time about, obviously there is an unmet need from a currency, a financial space. But what are some of the things that students in Seven Hills are deficient? And what are some needs that they have when you look around?
I think one of the things we're really trying to do is to be part of the city and part of a community beyond just our school. And so really getting kids out. I think the old model, if you go back 10, 20, 30 years ago, was everything was framed around service, getting the kids out to do something for somebody else. And I think that's important, that's valuable, but that's not enough. I think to get beyond service and to think about partnership, engagement, and going out and being part of a broader community, and not with the idea of you have the answers, is there help, or you're coming down from a different place to be able to serve, but more that you're there showing up to learn and to be partners and to be part of a community that extends beyond their own classrooms and beyond their own campus.
Tell us about that wonderful idea that you had that's coming on Mondays after Labor Day.
So Mondays, we call Mondays Magnificent Mondays. So I'm going to preface this by when we started the Monday program, it was about on Mondays for our students, especially 9 through 12, giving them some type of exposure. So career exploration, exposure into any type of career that they would look into. We understood that everybody didn't want to go to college, but we wanted to give them opportunities so if something happened, or once they graduate, they could be job ready. And it's interesting, and there's no bad, good, whatever, it's just the way life is. When you look at, say, at Seven Hills, where the tuition is $30,000, I think you said, so those individuals who can pay that, for the most part, we would say they have means. So then when you switch over to North College Hill, when I have 100% of my students who receive free lunch, we're a walking district and we struggle. So I think for us, we look at different things as far as what can we do when the schools are called to do different things. So with us, we're trying to be service oriented. I love what you said about just growing kids to make them better people morally once they leave the school, and that's where we are. But our kids come with a deficit also where if we don't get it to them, a lot of times they won't get it. So our Mondays program is our Monday programs are geared towards career exploration. We had students doing construction, nursing. We had an engineer STEMs program. And then you hear me keep saying had, so I'm going to say that a couple more times. We had an engineer program. We had kids going to Coon Farm that was learning urban farming. And then I said we had, because that was last year. This year, I cannot provide any of those programs because my money was cut. So North College Hill lost $1,044,000 through grants that we use to support our Monday program. So these were programs that, money that came in, and it was about expanding opportunities. And the interesting thing is we received the money because our students were doing poorly. And then our students start making growth. And that's what we're about, making growth. But when we start making growth, they say, oh, now you don't need it. So then they took that money away. So we have a couple companies who are staying with us, and they're going to make it happen no matter what. I appreciate the pastor, and now Seven Hills. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
But I appreciate the pastor for his pledge of that $10,000. So that $10,000 will cover, if not one, two programs for us for the year. So it's much needed. But our Mondays are about, we call them Magnificent Mondays, and we try to create a situation where students can get some exposure to careers. And we have some partnerships that we're working on, and I told everybody just last week, hey, we're going to put everything on hold so I can figure out exactly what we have, and then we'll move forward. But it's interesting, and it's just the way the world is. It's the have and the have-nots. And when you're in a situation you're a have-not, then you got to work extra hard or do a lot of begging, which is sad, because everybody deserves a good education. And that's what we're up against, and we continue to fight the good fight.
No, and I think part of the responsibility for us, not only as members of New Vision United Methodist Church, but also those of children of God, we receive a blessing to get a blessing. You get a blessing to receive a blessing. And so the ways in which we share is not because we feel like we're better than, it's just our moral responsibility. And so we'll have those kind of conversations to make that happen. I'm going to take a question. We have a question from a young lady from Chicago. Would you like to ask a question?
Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Yes, sir. I have a lot of questions, but I will ask just specifically, as you think about the impact of social media on your students in each case, and I hear you that educators are so challenged, but I also think parents are really challenged dealing with social media at home. How do parents partner with you all as educators to achieve this ethical stuff, and how does social media and even AI then affect your experiences, both of you as educators, please?
I'll go first. As far as the phones are, I think what Governor DeWine did was wonderful. I know you all saw the law. So no schools, no phones in schools. So when students come to schools, phones are put up, and I think that's a good start. The students, definitely, it's when students come to school, they're so distracted. So the idea of them putting phones in lockers and not having access to them during school, I think that's going to go a long way. I think the issue as far as social media, again, we can only manage what happens when they're with us. When they leave school, when they're walking home, the first thing they do is they pull out their phone and they start clicking through. And again, remember what I said, if you see one violent incident on there, then that's what you're going to see for the rest of the day. That's all you're going to flick through. And I think that's what the students are inundated with. So if the parents took a stronger stance, again, I'm saying to start at home, if the adults in those individuals' lives take a stronger stance and say, hey, give me that phone, put it up, limit screen time, or better yet, what are you looking at? I think that would go a long way as helping us deal with social media and what the students are seeing.
I think the phone decision has been wonderful for kids and for teachers. This will be our second year at Seven Hills of no access to phones during the day. So in the beginning, the kids were really concerned. They really needed those phones, and we saw this time last year over those first 2-3 weeks of school that after an initial period of their being a little mad at us for taking away the phones, so many things got better. We see kids playing on the lawn together or throwing the ball around, playing board games. at lunch, having conversations with each other instead of disappearing into a screen. And I agree. I think that one of the things we can do as a school is we can say, here's 7 or 8 hours where we can guarantee that your child is not on social media, is not texting, is not receiving and sending messages that might not be, what we value as a school. So I think that's been an important step forward, and it certainly has me and my team thinking about what's the next sort of iteration or horizon for this. How can we make sure that we're creating an environment in school that really is very aligned with what we know is important to young people. For anybody who hasn't read The Anxious Generation, I recommend it. I think it's a great view into what this generation is experiencing that's very, very different from what our generation experienced. We were able to kind of put it all down. It used to be, if there was a party on Saturday night and you weren't invited, you didn't find out until Monday morning when you got to school, right? And a lot has happened since then. But now you find out on Saturday night in real time because that party is going on and you're seeing some thread about it, and things look better from the distance of social media than they probably are in real life. So I think we have to really kind of meet the moment and make sure that we're providing a lot of support and a lot of programming, a lot of working with kids about the skills that they'll need and the kind of self-knowledge that they'll need to move through this increasingly connected time.
I'm Dr. Moira Rivera, and I'm a school psychologist with Cincinnati Public. And I'm not sure if this is a question or a suggestion. When I first started in the 1990s, I did parenting classes, I did study skills for kids, I did counseling groups, I did all sorts of things. I also did 10 weeks of anti-racist education for students. In other words, I have this huge, enormous degree. And now, in 2025, I'm pigeonholed into testing only. And I literally have those tests memorized. I could do that in my sleep. I could write a report in my sleep. So I guess my suggestion or my question is, how do you engage the mental health professionals in your district or in your building to help support parents? Because what I often say is parents don't have parenting skills, and in the situation in schools, teachers, educators, we're the only ones with degrees about brain development, about child development, about any of those things. And then we're expecting parents who don't have degrees in any of those things to somehow know what to do once their kid gets home. So how do you engage this enormous degree along with parents to be more supportive of them and help them learn those skills because they just don't naturally have them?
Man, that sounds like a church question. I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah, I'll jump in and say, we've been really happy with the parent series that we're offering. So it's our school counselors and open to all of our parents, some of our teachers and administrators there, and we have a series of topics over the course of the year that we're going to be addressing. We do a little polling of what are some of the top-line things that parents are concerned about, what are some things that they're looking for partnership and help with, and then part of, I think, our role is to provide really good resources that can help to kind of raise everybody's understanding of how to approach childhood, adolescence, parenting, how to connect school and home. Who are some of the people out there who can be a great resource for parents? So even when that evening event or that morning event ends, there's something else that they're able to keep tapping into. So we've done some work by having a big read where we're reading the same author and just kind of honing in. So we did The Anxious Generation. We've done a lot with Lisa D'Amour's work, Brene Brown, trying to really plug into frameworks that we think will be very powerful for thinking about teaching and learning and raising children.
And we have a number of partnerships right now with organizations, be it the Tower House, New Path. So we have a lot of individuals that come into the school to work with our students and also with our parents. When I talk about conscious discipline, it's basically about teaching self-regulation skills, but it's actually for adults also, more so for the adults. So that's something that we're actually trying because the students are learning it at home, and that's not about every time they do something you yelling and hollering at them, but it's about you going to them and having a conversation and explaining to them what they did wrong, and also understanding where you're at. Like, what's your level? Are you at the point where you can just stop and listen? So where your brain stage is at. So we're trying to teach those stages also to our parents, so the students are hearing something at home, and we will hope that the parents that would continue when they get to the house. So we'll continue to work on that, invite parents up at every opportunity. When the parents come up to school, we do have things set up on the level of parenting services, or at least providing opportunity and information to help the parents through. So yes, I agree.
I have a excuse me. I have a process and probably a philosophical question. Post-high school, as students go off to college, then there's post-college, professional school, graduate school, trade school. There's a continuum of the time process. There are international models that speak to an all-year educational system. Here, for some reason, we stop students in May. We don't start them back to August or September. Why can't we have this continuum? Because I know that 3-month hiatus, students forget. Now you got to remediate for a month, a week or two, to get them caught up to where they can advance. So I understand in the olden days why people had to work the fields and what have you, but we don't work the fields anymore. So why can't we have our students in school doing a break? You've got the 4-day week. That's good. But what about this time frame between the two that students are actually lost? And I think that may help to solve some of the student in the street activity if they're in school. And I'm not saying that for a disciplinary kind of thing, but as a continuation of the education process.
I think you have to change the mindset. I think the 4-day thing, to me, it just made sense. So I think it's not a one-size-fits-all for different schools or school districts. And I tell people what works in North College Hill may not work in Cincinnati Public. It works for North College Hill. We're a walking school district. Our kids can come up, they can get lunch, they can get breakfast. We can provide parent support if they need it, and that can't happen everywhere. So I think it's what you said is why can't we? And that's what you have to think about, and that's what educational leaders are about. That's what leadership should be about. It should be about challenging the system, challenging the paradigm, and walking out and saying, okay, I believe this is going to happen, this is the reason why, and moving forward with it. And I think a lot of people want to do it, but it's scary to step out there alone. To step out in North College Hill and be the first of a 4-day, you couldn't imagine some of the hate mail I got. Seriously, and all I did was say, hey, I just want what's right for teachers. And I think when you think about even that year-round school thing, we have to think about too, Dr. Bowers, is the teachers. The teachers never get a break. So our teachers work their tails off. And most of the time, teachers work, I say 10 to 12 hours, and that's just not North College Hill. That's everywhere. Teachers love what they do, and they put in that time and that work. And when the year is over, it takes time to decompress and get your head back to be able to start another year. And I don't think people understand that piece of it either. When you talk about mental wellness, think about the adults, because they need rested too, and they need that support too. And we have to be able to provide other things for our students. And learning loss is real. We just have to have a vehicle or avenue to provide those services for the students. But I don't want you all to ever lose sight on the adults, because the adults are working hard and they need time to get their head together after everything that they're asked to do. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, I think that's so well put. And I think one of the questions is what is the summer experience for kids all over the city? How can if it's not school, if it's not a wraparound kind of school model, what is there in that place when the kids are free, but in many cases the parents are not. The parents still need some place where their children will be taken care of and engaged and in a social setting. We run a summer camp, and we see a lot of our own students participating in it, but we also see a lot of kids from all over Cincinnati coming and being part of the summer camp experience. So I think honing in on the summer and saying, what can we program in the summers that will be really powerful and meaningful for kids and will be really helpful for families might be one of the approaches to take.
And one thing, just to jump in, remember, everything takes money. When I said they cut my money, they cut that program too. We had after-school programs. We also had summer programs. I don't know if I'm going to be able to provide that this year. So it's tough.
Yeah, here's the thing about what you're saying, and I think it kind of leads into what we're saying here too. This feels like an advertisement to some of the people who are here from the church without the full recognition of who's watching. What do I mean by that? We're going to make sure that thousands of people have this conversation to see public and private spaces coming together, because the power of outsourcing is not just prevalent in the school system, it's also prevalent at the church. Approximately 20 some odd years ago, there were some wonderful people that made a conscious decision that this church should be on this campus. And yet, in a community where the average per capita income for a family of 4 is under $30,000, this church can't do it all by itself. And so we just signed a re-emerging contract, a new contract with United Methodist Foods Ministry on top of the food pantry that meets here once a month. That food ministry will soon, by January, feed 1 million meals a month. We now have a 5-star daycare program that's happening with Heavenly Daycare Center, LLC. We've started now. Can't wait to see Dr. Bauer's involvement with. We've done it in the past. We have a resettlement program with Ebenezer Healthcare Access, where thousands of people will come from all over the world to be assisted in real time with their health insurance as well as their right to refusal that's been going by ICE. And now we're inviting people from all over the world to get their citizenship. Why am I saying that? Is because the partnership that we receive when I ask for money, it's not just to turn the lights on and keep the buildings going. We're also making sure that marginalized places in real time get the resources that they need. And so if you're watching online, these conversations are going because the people at New Vision feel that there is an amen and a hallelujah after the worship service, right? There is something that we're working towards steadily. And so the money that you give, be it when you send it to 4400 Reading Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45229. If you want to cash app us with $ New Vision UMC Reading, or you go on Vanco, these monies that you send in real time give space to help real people build real conversations. Now, I say those things in lieu of this. There are 3 things about the United Methodist Church that I am most crazy about. The first thing is the notion of grace. The notion of grace in the United Methodist Church has been studied, and it reminds the world. You and your lovely wife have been to Africa with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And so we feed thousands and thousands of people in the Congo in real time. But the last thing that I'm excited about is the notion that this church is in the process of organizing itself towards being a place for social mobility. What does social mobility mean? That means that I had a severe learning problem while at Seven Hills, but because of small class sizes, I was able to attend a unique situation and go to college at a private institution. But at the same time, Seven Hills did not have all the relational currency that I needed. So my Methodist church was able to make sure that I went to graduate school in and all over the world. But as you said, people don't get to sit. There's a place called No Excuses College School. No Excuses College School is the largest black college touring space in the state of Ohio with more than 600 young people that they've been providing and making sure that young people, whether they go to Seven Hills or whether they go to North College, will have an opportunity to realize their dreams in different spaces. Today, the operations manager for North Fuses is here. She's got a couple questions to talk about social mobility. Let's give Elisa a round of applause as she comes.
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask you both questions. As a good educator, I am prepared. Academic, competition, and readiness. How do you balance preparing your students for standardized benchmarks while fostering their creativity and leadership and critical thinking skills at Seven Hills?
I think a lot of it for us is really prioritizing hiring amazing teachers and then getting them into the school and giving them the autonomy and the resources to design classes that they and the students are really genuinely excited about. I really feel that we have very strong standardized test scores. All of the students go to college when they graduate. I think that is the side effect of just really great, engaging learning, and so it becomes a kind of natural outcome of designing classes that meet kids where they are, get them excited about a topic, and then move them to where they need to be.
I think the same thing. This goes back to our Mondays program. Mondays was about providing teachers opportunity to do the work that they were educated and trained to do. So our Monday programs, we allow teachers to use data to drive instruction, to look at where students are and try to meet their needs. So Mondays is all about seeing who your student is academically, emotionally, socially, and then meeting their needs. And then the teachers use that time to plan. And I say this all the time, individuals think when the teachers step up, it's game time. But you see the Bengals right now practicing. And they're putting in more work. Matter of fact, they're starting their starters earlier so they can get off to a better start than they have in years. And that's what we're doing as far as North College Hill. We're trying to give teachers opportunity that they need to plan, and we really feel that if you give adults, teachers, time to plan, that they will meet the needs of the students, and that's what we're doing at North College Hill.
Thank you. This question comes from the State of Education. What role do community partners like churches and social and local organizations play in supporting your student academics? I ask this question because due to funding cuts, it's going to be even more critical to rely on those community partners and to build good relationships so that they can come in and support the students. And in your case, you have budgeting that will allow you to have those spaces. But what community partners would be beneficial? We'll start with Dr. Blaylock on this one.
So for us, when we started the Monday programs, believe it or not, I had more people coming to me to become a partner than me going out. So we had a number of organizations, companies coming saying, hey, can we get in and work with students? Because for them, they're looking at our students and saying, hey, these are individuals who we can prepare for the workforce right now, and they can come out and be ready to work. So I think it's essential to have these partners. We have a number of community partners. I talked about our nursing, our construction, Cocoon Farm as far as urban farming, and we're continuing to build on that. We have individuals talking to us now about roofing programs. So I'm excited about it, but I think for all schools, that's my role as a instructional leader, as the head of a school district, is to go out there and cultivate those relationships and those partnerships. And that's what we have to do, and that's what we're doing. And I have a number of community partners in North College Hill. In light of the last incident, I have community members, police, churches, whatever, coming together and saying, what can they do as a community to support the schools? So I think it's essential, we need it, and we just have to continue to cultivate it.
I think a great school program should be very much connected to and in dialogue with the rest of the city, with other communities and institutions. So, a couple of the organizations that have been really powerful for us have been ones that are interested and able in helping students have experiences and internships and job shadows and things that get them out of the classroom, off the campus, and into real-life settings, and ones that are closely aligned with their actual emerging interests. So if the student thinks They want to get into medicine, they want to be a doctor, they want to be a nurse, they want to go into some kind of research field. I think part of our job is to connect them, to have them interning or shadowing at the hospital systems, working with the doctor, really getting to see this from the inside out. And before they graduate, I want them to have some experiences that feel like they're actual. We as a school can't deliver that on our own. We need partners, and we need to be part of a larger ecosystem. And I think sometimes we have students who go out and, you find out years later that was the beginning of what becomes their career or their field. But it's also really powerful sometimes when they come back and say, I thought I wanted to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to do something else. That's a powerful experience too. So the more we can get our kids out into the quote-unquote real world, I think the more discernment they'll be able to have, and the more their own adult lives will be meaningful.
And I think the state of Ohio, I think what the legislator is doing by creating all these different pathways to graduation will bode well for our students. So the lieutenant governor, the governor, they're putting a lot of money into things post-careers or post-high school. And it's not always college. It might just be getting prepared for the workforce. And I know it's a lot of conversation about that. And those pathways are great for our students.
That's on point. I'm going to transitional planning. And my question is, what transitional planning strategies are currently in place to help students move successfully from middle school to high school, from high school into college, or the workforce or military? And I ask that question because in Cincinnati Public Schools, they have the 3 E's: enlist, enroll, and employment. And I believe that the transitional planning conversation needs to start earlier than later. CPS has gone to a model of reinstituting middle school, and so that's a different transition. And so with the exposure to social media and the exposure to all of the world at your fingertips with this cell phone, we really need to be having some non-traditional conversations and creating some spaces for students and families to figure out what that looks like, because everybody's not going to college, but everybody should have a plan so that they can be successful, productive citizens in our world and in our society. I'll start with you.
Does anybody else remember that you used to say in school, what am I going to use this for? That you theater class? What am I ever going to use this for?
Right.
So I really believe that today we know as teachers and we know as administrators that we have to really answer that question early, and we have to keep grounding what we're teaching in any given class in the relevance, right? Here's what you're going to use this for. This is going to be powerful if you want to do X, Y, or Z. Here's how this math concept that can seem a little abstract in the classroom plays out in real life. Because I think if we can close that gap between what you learn in school and what feels academic and kind of at a remove from the rest of your life, close that gap and make it feel more relevant, more engaging, more like it has personal significance and meaning for the learners, I think the better. And the other thing I'd say is managing those transitions across wherever you divide. So we're a pre-K through 12, but even within that context, our students move from a lower school to a middle school and into an upper school, and getting those right is really, really important. I feel like that move across divisions, if you can make that actually the strongest grade transition, that's my goal, is how can we make that the one that's the most deliberate, where nothing gets kind of lost in that handoff from one faculty to the next.
And for us, ours is K through 12. We work with Hamilton County Educational Service Center, and they have a business advisory group, and those individuals provide support for our students. And so we have a program, it's almost a continuum from K through 12. So we are elementary is K through 4, and they have a different curriculum of what they're doing as far as career paths or career awareness. Then you go to 5 through 8. They have a different curriculum, different conversations. Then we have 9 through 12. I think we're extremely fortunate in North College Hill because we partner with Gear Up. And Gear Up is an organization that works through 7 through 12. 6 through 12, 7 through 12. And they basically work with our students as far as college, career. They do career visits. They do career or college visits, I should say. They have career individuals come in to talk to our students just to kind of give them some information on opportunities that may exist or expose them to different career opportunities. So we have a number of, that Gear Up has been huge for us, especially in that middle school through 12th grade, and we're excited about that.
Okay. I will go to student barriers. What are some barriers that students are currently facing academically? We know that COVID took a large chunk out of our academic progress, and we are working as educators and people in the community to bridge that gap. But I need to hear from both of you, what are those barriers looking like, and how are they affecting where we are approaching the 2025-2026 school year?
Here, I think our barriers has to do with community and home. I think for schools, especially inner city schools, I think you have when you say a community, it is a community, it's a safe haven. It's a home for those students. And the teachers, the adults put in a lot of work. But I think when students go home, a lot of times they don't have the support that they need. I think in some communities, does that mean we need a recreation center? Do we need a community center for these young folks? Once they leave school, schools can only stay open for so long, and after that, students need some place to go. And I think that's, when you talk about barriers for me, and I'm talking Blaylock, I'm talking North College Hill City School District, what we need is a recreation center. I know our local government, they're working on that and having those conversations, but it has to be something after school to continue to support the students. And right now, that's what I see as a barrier. I see the teachers working hard. I see the students involved in sports. We have great students, but then you have that group that when they leave, they don't have anywhere to go or anything to do. And a lot of times that ends up with them getting caught up in some type of mischief. And that comes back to school, and then my year starts all over again.
I think all of the research says it's very, very hard to concentrate on academics if you're feeling that kind of social emotional churn from whatever corner of one's life that's coming from. And so I think that, again, if you go back maybe a generation ago, it felt like there's academics and then there's kind of the social emotional stuff, and they're two separate poles. And today we know those really go together. But the more we can do to support students socially and emotionally, the more we can help them to feel really comfortable in their classroom, in their social groups, with their teacher, the better their academics will be. So that time isn't time that takes away from academic success. It's necessary for academic success. The more we can put into that part of cultivating young people's lives, the more we'll see a ripple effect with everything else that we're asking them to do in the classroom and beyond.
I'll yield my last question to anyone in the audience. Does anyone in the audience have a question? I saw a hand up earlier when Pastor was moving on. All right. To find out more about what No Excuses College Tours and Programs is offering, our first student and parent information session will be on Monday, August 18th, 2025. We will meet at Woodward Career Technical High School, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This year we're taking 2 tours. Our tour traditionally follows the model of Cincinnati Public Schools, but we work with private parochial schools and even the suburb districts to ensure that their students can participate. We are looking forward to an exciting programming year. Our programming is 8 months long, covering everything from transitional planning, college and career readiness. The tour is the 2nd and 3rd week of March, but portfolio writing, we have guest speakers come in. There's so much that goes into the program, understanding that all of that can't be covered through the regular traditional school day. And depending on if you have after-school programming, you may not be able to cover it either. So if you're interested, you can see me at the table, and I can share more about that with you. Our website is www.noexcusescollegetoursandprograms.org, and information is also out on the table. Thank you.
Last words.
I just want to thank you, Peter, for having me here. I want to thank everybody for coming out. And, it's a time where I think we're all being called on to think really hard about what are our obligations to young people, to teachers, to trying to lift people up, to trying to provide an alternative to that meanness that's out there in culture, and hold up a different model of how to be and how to grow. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. But first and foremost, I want to thank my New Vision family for the prayers and support. Believe it or not, I need it. So keep praying for Blaylock. Keep praying for North College Hills City School District. I know you have us in your hearts and prayers. I heard it today when I was listening. You mentioned North College Hill on the prayer list. So just continue to keep us in prayer and keep our students in prayer. It's a lot of hard work out there, and we cannot do it alone. So thank you.
Scripture says, eyes have not seen nor have ears heard what God has in store for those that love him. The love that you all have showed for humanity has been manifested in the fruits of your labor. You should know that the people here are not just praying for you, but walking beside you. Indeed, people are already asking me, how can they contribute to the $10,000? There are other opportunities for the synergy that sits between you all to give an opportunity for young people to come together and to do things we haven't yet put to words, to give dreams that had not yet been dreamt. And so I'm humbled that you all would come out here. Indeed, this is a global village. Next month, we're going to have some people from our labor unions as we're giving out jobs. So if you know anybody that needs a job, you need to have them come here on the third Sunday of September so we can have some real conversations about employment. Let's look to the Lord in prayer. God, we just thank you for this day, for these two magnificent servant leaders. Continue to keep your hands upon them as they continue to take care of and nourish and provide wisdom and witness for your most precious resource, our children. Guard them as they guard our most precious resource as we continue to uplift your name, not just in church on Sunday, but in the world we live in on Monday. These and all of the blessings we ask in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit we pray. Let the church say, amen. We'll see you next month on the Global Village. God bless.